The game of the year. Let's step into the huddle.
You're listening to the PreSnap Podcast, brought to you by LineStar app, the top-rated DFS tool set and #1 companion for DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo Daily Fantasy. Go LineStar Premium now at LineStarApp.com. Now here are your hosts, fantasy football experts Joe Pisapia and Scott Bogman.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and welcome to the PreSnap right here on the LineStar app. It is me, it is Scott Bogman, and it's you, and we're recapping Week 14, hot take in Week 15. But Boggs, before we get to any of that, because there was a lot of good stuff last week on the shows, oh my goodness, DFS show, my God. If you didn't make money last week listening to DFS shows, then you just did something, like you were just saying, no, I'm going to do the opposite of what Joe and Bogman said, because it was a great week. That's like 2 great weeks in a row. I love that we are finishing strong here on the program. And if you're new to the program, welcome. We're here via the LineStar app, the greatest DFS tool site in the history of the universe. Go out there, get it, upgrade to the premium product. But Boggs, last night, Monday Night Football, I wanted to see who the Cleveland Browns were and wanted to see where the Ravens were at. And a couple weeks ago, I said, you know, the only hope the Ravens have is just to unleash Lamar Jackson on the world again. And it looks like the last 2 weeks, they must have been listening to the show, because that's what they've done. And my goodness, what an incredible game last night. So fun, so back and forth. I have it on the DVR. I kind of want to watch it again. Like I might tonight, like the kids are not here. I might just pop that game on and watch it because it was so damn fun.
And who would blame you? It was an awesome game. So I mean, everyone was good in it. There was the whole, you know, is Lamar using the facilities? Is he actually dehydrated saga going on? And when he came back out in the game, I mean, you know, the who is it? Steve Levy? He did a great job. He was this is like Superman without the cape. I thought that was a great line. And you know, the Monday Night Football crew has been unimpressive so far. They've been fine. They haven't been annoying. Like
you got to give them time. Look, here's the thing. We are spoiled. We are spoiled because, you know, we grew up with Summerall and Madden, and even when Summerall and Madden got put together, they were polar opposite guys, and they almost didn't make it. So, like, you know, you have to give teams time to get chemistry together, and I think this team is fine, and everyone just gets so hyperbolic and bent out of shape about every announced team. Oh, it's the worst, Boggs. I hate it. Everyone's got, they don't like the way this guy called the game, and that guy called the game. Well, just watch the game. It's a lot harder than it looks.
As long as it's not Spiro Ditas, I'm fine.
Right, and as long as it's not Tony Romo saying the word especially 5,000.
right. I mean, we're still
you're going to listen for that this weekend. I know you are. Like, you're going to be watching a game, and Tony Romo is going to say the word especially, which, just as a reminder out there, is not a word, and you are going to laugh your rear end off, and you're going to text me and say, he said it, and you're going to take a shot every time he does it.
Troy Aikman say, oh God, what's his
well,
word?
Collinsworth always does. Well, here's a guy. That's
a guy. He also, that's why Welsh and I started in this league, because I get so annoyed when anyone says, well, in this league, you got to, as opposed to what other league? What are you comparing the NFL to? The CFL? Are you comparing it to college
XFL?
Football?
It's
not really a league, you know. So what do you mean in this league? As opposed to what league? That's why we are in this league.
I never knew the origin. I actually look at that. See, all these years now, I learned something. I never even asked. I just thought it was a clever name.
Yeah, I always was annoyed by it, and I would complain about it. And Welsh was like, "Why don't we just make that our name?" And I was like, "Oh, that actually works. Let's do it." So that was, you know, it was me being annoyed by it, Welsh putting it together.
This is only the second greatest origin story I've ever heard. The first being Spider-Man. Like, so it's like Spider-Man, and then in this league, it's like right after. Yeah.
Spider-Man is the classic man gets bit by radioactive spider, you know, and who hasn't been through that? I mean, we've all been bit by radioactive.
Well, I mean, it's a very relatable tale. I can tell you that much. But,
it's
you know,
about as relatable as Jerry Seinfeld's comedy.
I thought it was jarring to see the crowd last night. Like, I felt like the crowd enhanced that game.
You haven't been watching college football then. I mean, watch the Florida game, Joe. They're all there.
No, I was going to say everything in Florida is different. I totally get that. But I haven't seen it in an NFL game all year to that magnitude. And it definitely added to the drama of the game, I thought. And Lamar was just out of his mind. Of course, Marquise Hollywood Brown once again was terrible for 4 quarters and had that one moment where the safety ran into the running back. He gets free and scores a touchdown. That's 3 weeks in a row where the guy has that one play that makes him fantasy worthy. Don't chase it. It's the worst. He's not good at football. And this is going to be my off-season diatribe. I'm going to be on this all off-season because people are going to look at the overall numbers and go, well, look at all the touchdowns. And look, maybe he's doing. No, it's terrible. It's awful.
I mean, he has drops, but I still like him. They just don't throw the ball enough in that offense for him to be. Look, if he went somewhere else, if he went to Green Bay, you would not be saying what you're saying about him.
I don't know about that, man, because Aaron Rodgers would never throw to him again if he ever pulled that one-handed nonsense on a slant over the middle. Like, I mean, who do you think you are? Like,
at least he complains a lot too. That's always.
Oh good. Yeah, let's not get started. But the thing that makes Baker Mayfield great and simultaneously the worst is the confidence. He was so confident. There was a moment in that game there where, when they stopped them on that fourth down and they stopped Baltimore, and I went, wow, the momentum's really moving here. Yeah, and then immediately the next play, Baker Mayfield tries to sneak a ball past the linebacker and he doesn't do it.
And Bowser almost takes it in. Yeah.
And it's not quite a pick six, but it basically becomes a score. I thought, oh, that's it. Like, that's the old Baker Mayfield. The I can do anything gunslinger Baker Mayfield to get you into trouble. But it's that same mentality that allows him to bounce back in games like this and never quit. And
I didn't expect to pick there. But I did when they got the ball back at the end. I was like, who gets this pick from Baker to end it? Because I thought for sure he was going to throw a pick, and he threw the touchdown to Kareem Hunt, and it took Lamar Jackson on that second drive, driving them down, and the best kicker in NFL history, and Justin Tucker, to knock that 55-yarder through in Cleveland, which is not the easiest place to kick, and he'd already had an extra point block too, Tucker. Mm-hmm. So. It was
great.
Surprising.
It was like a Disney movie, like Lamar comes out of the tunnel. It was unbelievable, man. This weekend on Disney Plus.
It's one of the series they're adding for 2023 or whatever.
Yes, it's one of the Marvel series. It's Lamar and Baker.
Origin story.
These two opposites just can't get along, except when they're on the gridiron. And then it was just great. So I just wanted to talk about this game because it was fun, and I gotta tell you, man, all of a sudden this division looks pretty hot. Maybe Joe Burrow bounces back next year. Things are a little different. I don't know, but man, the North is definitely, I think, the most fun division right now as a prisoner of the moment of what's going on. But that wasn't the only thing that happened. So let's get after some of the things that were good last week. And look, last week we talked at length about Indianapolis, going with Taylor, going with Hilton, going with Rivers, my favorite stack. Oh, it was good again. We talked about going the third time was a charm again for Montgomery 3 weeks in a row. Now, I didn't see Trubisky being good happening, but Montgomery, we certainly did.
Who did see Trubisky being good happening, Joe? Who was that guy?
No, I don't know. Not Trubisky. I can tell you that. Derrick Henry was our guy. He was 26% drafted.
How did I describe him? How did I describe Derrick Henry?
I want to say, say it again because I don't want to get
chalkiest chalk.
The chalkiest chalk of the chalk. Right. Yeah. And you know what? He still put up 35 FanDuel points. So how about that? I mean, I had Henry everywhere. Now, the only thing that really bummed me out this past week was Aaron Jones was no good. Like the Aaron Jones thing didn't work out, which it should have worked out, but Ayuk worked out. He was great. It was basically that same thing going back and forth that we've been doing, which is, look for the good chalk, find the good chalk, and then, just continue to work that. And Taysom Hill, once again, another pretty good option there for him because of the rushing yard. So all in all, and of course, the two defenses that we were on were what? The Washington football team was mine, and yours was the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah. I'd say that was a pretty good day at the office. What do you think?
Yeah, it was pretty good. So we did a great job.
Again, how did anyone not make money last week listening to this show? I don't know.
Maybe the gambling show was okay.
Well,
wasn't the greatest, but
you know what? There were a lot of weird things last week again. I mean, it's been a weird finish to the season here. And a lot of people took a lot of baths last week. I know in that super contest thing, a lot of people, were 2-3 or 1-4. Like, it was not good across the board yet again. I mean, just, the weird backdoor covers, odd things happening in games.
Well, even the game last night, like where you're making up all your
FanDuel refunded because of the safety. I don't know if you know,
really? I did not see that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
The Baltimore -2.5 or -3, I think is what we had it at. So when we were recording the show, and the field goal did it, and then there was a hook on for a lot of people, and that safety was nuts at the end of the game on that lateral play. And that was just like, when you're a bettor, right, and you're watching them and you see Lamar clock it at 7 seconds instead of 3, you got to be going, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you leaving 7? Like, I didn't get it either. Like, even from a normal, game perspective, you let that clock tick down to 3. That way, if your guy misses it, then you're still going to overtime. You don't clock it at 7. It made no sense. So
strange things. Let's get to the lineups that won. The one in the $1 million contest on FanDuel. Tua put up 28 points. He was just 0.9% drafted. David Montgomery, 23. Our guy, Derrick Henry, 35. Jakeem Grant stunk. He only put up 4.7. Normally you can't win a tournament like this having a number like that. But this team also had Tyreek Hill, Allen Robinson, which we kept saying too. Allen Robinson completely undervalued every single year, every single week. 123 yards, a touchdown, 9 catches. He was just 9.8% drafted. Gesicki's 21 was good. Jonathan Taylor's 29, another our guy, and your Dallas Cowboys defense. So, honestly, outside the two turkeys and the Miami, this was a lineup that basically we had. So, yeah. We basically talked about that. Jakeem Grant was that one, but the good thing about him is he was cheap. It allowed you to go up other spots. On DraftKings, Derek Carr's 28 at quarterback, 0.8% rostered. That was the difference maker. And then what do you know it? Henry Montgomery, no kidding. Allen Robinson. Nelson Aguilar, continues to be excellent. He was just 4,700, 1.4% rostered. I got to tell you, I think you can go with Aguilar again this week against the Chargers. Why not? A.J. Brown, Allen Robinson, Gesicki, Tyler Eifert was again, you don't usually get the stinkers. You got a stinker here, another 4-point performance, yet this is the one that won $1 million. And of course, the Cowboys defense yet again. So, look, we were right on all these guys. It was a fantastic week of DFS. Again, the wagering last couple of weeks has been up and down, a little difficult, but look, we'll get right back at it. We're always going to put the work in for you. That's what we do, but it's a long season, and that's why we're playing the long game. So that being said, let's switch gears. That's enough of this past week. Did you have any other things to chime in about things that you saw or stuff going on in week 14? Or
no, I feel like my Steelers are a sinking ship, and I'm the guy playing the violin.
I wasn't going to bring it up. I was going to be good this show.
No, I understand. But this division is we just watched one of the best games ever on Monday Night Football, and the Steelers are leading both of those teams right now still. So this is such a good division. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch this race in the next few weeks here, and to see some of these teams pull away with playoff spots, and some of them, because the Ravens are outside looking in right now. So they got to get on their horse to get into the playoffs. So it's going to be a fun 3-week stretch here to see who gets in and who dips out. But the Steelers are in the playoffs for the first time in 2 years.
Well, look, I think two things, my big two takeaways from week 14 from a football standpoint, the Bills showed up when they needed to. The Bills are for real. That defense is playing the best football they've played all year. Josh Allen's been great. Diggs might be the most important offseason move of any team this past offseason when you sit back and think about it. And the Browns are for real. Like, Chubb was fantastic. Hunt was everything, they made the plays, and Baker made mistakes because Baker's going to make mistakes, but there's no quitting that guy. And again, that's the good thing and the bad thing about Baker Mayfield. So the Browns and Bills, those two teams are for real. And all of a sudden the AFC looks pretty hot, because if the Ravens are going to play like this with Lamar, like they did the last 2 weeks, Kansas City better get their act together this week, because Casey's been a little underwhelming lately. That's my big takeaway.
One other thing from this week, and we didn't get to it because it's the Thursday night game, but Cam Akers. How about Cam Akers running?
Yeah.
Pats, and they have the Jets this week.
Well, he's a smash play this week, man. I love it. I've already got Cam Akers in all my lineups that I've been putting together today. Like, it's just Cam Akers, Taylor. That's where I'm going. That's where this guy is going this week. So stay tuned.
And we're going to be missing some games because there's Saturday games and stuff. So
that's what's complicated. So we got Thursday with the Chargers and Raiders. So obviously
Eckler, we're missing Carr, no Aguilar.
Right. Yeah. Right. It's right. I forgot they were Thursday. I can't even use Aguilar this week. Oh, I can if I play the showdown slate. Then you got the 2 games on Saturday. You got Bills and Broncos. The Bills should smash there. and the Packers on Saturday night. God knows I love the Saturday night football. It's tremendous. Can't get enough of that. But I would not be shocked if the Panthers covered. That's 8.5, I think, right now. The Panthers kind of show up, and they don't have a lot of quit in them. So don't be surprised if the Panthers show up.
CMC's gonna be back too. So, and maybe DJ Moore. We'll see.
Interesting. And look, so let's go through these. Let's start with the Bills and Broncos, because that seems like a smash game, right? I mean, I feel like Bills are rolling right now. Now, the last thing you want is to go to Denver, because nobody ever wants to go to Denver because things just have a weird way of getting weird.
You have always said Denver's a weird place to go. And Drew Locke is coming off a 4-touchdown game. So when he gets locked in, he's
dad joke.
Oh, come on. I didn't even try that. Well, when he get I said it and I'll eat it, but I did not mean it like that. But when Drew gets locked in, it's hard to stop him. And you've mentioned before, they have good options. They have almost an embarrassment of riches in Denver. I mean, and just imagine if Cortland Sutton was still going. So they could make this a little closer than expected, I think.
Yeah. Panthers and Packers. Look, Packers are doing everything that they're supposed to do. Right now, I mean, it's
they're
tough.
The number one seed in the NFC.
Yeah, and right now I was gonna say they feel like the number one seed. It feels like a different Packer team than last year. It feels like a more confident one, a little bit more, aggressive one. Rodgers is playing with a little bit of fun. I think that's showing. So I would expect the Packers to be. Look, this is a fun little 2-game slate to play on Saturday night. I would definitely get in on this one, because I think there's some fun there. You got 3 quarterbacks that are viable. You could pick and choose a lot of different spots. And look, you got to put Devontae Adams in whatever lineup you're doing. I mean, 8 straight games with a touchdown. It's just absurd right now how good that guy's been.
Touchdowns this year already.
Unreal. So good. 49ers at Cowboys. I'll tell you what, Ayuk, dude, we were on last week. Debo's probably done for the year. I will go right back to Ayuk. That's another guy that I've been putting. Still
out in Ayuk had 16 targets. So,
and now they're playing the Cowboys. I mean, lock this in. I'm sorry. Give me that. And Mostert's going to be out probably too, I think, for this game. Things are not going in the right direction there with him. So keep an eye on that. But this could be Wilson. It could be Ayuk. You could get some. The Cowboys aren't any good just because they beat Cincinnati last week. Don't take that the wrong way.
And Cincinnati's horrible.
So. They're horrible. Well, I mean, the Cowboys are right behind them.
They are, but not. They're not. It's a different tier of bad, because I mean, we did just see Dallas go into Cincinnati and beat them by 23. So, it's a different tier of bad. But I think, like in mocks right now, it's Cincinnati at 3 and Dallas at 4, so they're right next to each other. But they are definitely a different tier of horrible right now.
All right, now you got the Washington football team at home against the Seahawks. So Seahawks obviously pounded on the Jets. Jamal Adams broke a record for most sacks by a defensive back ever. It was Adrian Wilson's record. It was 8. Now it's 8.5 for Adams, which is stunning because he missed time. He's such
their best pass rusher.
I know, it's such an incredible player. He really is. And you know me, I've always been a Jamal Adams fan since they drafted him on the Jets, and it's just hilarious to me they could let go players of that talent. This comes down to the Seahawks offense versus the Washington football team's defense. So how do you feel about this one? Because I'm kind of on the fence. Like this is a fascinating game as far as I'm concerned, because it would not shock me if somehow the football team found a way to get this done. But without Alex Smith, I don't know if I would give them a shot.
Right. I'm not trusting Haskins. But you saw him come in and just look horrible, still. So he's probably I was surprised that they benched him so quick, but it seems like it was the right move with the way Alex Smith has been playing. And they said this is not a major injury for Alex Smith. So hopefully he'll be back out there, and that'll make it a little more enticing. But the Seahawks are too good to drop this one, I think.
Yeah.
If this is a playoff game, I might take Washington, but regular season game, I think Seattle's going to get it.
Well, this next one, I'm going to love this stack. I'm telling you right now, I love the Bears against the Vikings. I think the Vikings are now going to start to mope a little bit because they're 6-7 and they're probably done. And Trubisky and Montgomery and Allen Robinson, I love that trio. I think
I'm getting that biceps Vikings tattoo removed, Joe? Or?
No, I'm not getting it removed. I'm gonna cover it up.
Sure, you're not gonna change it to a Colts logo or anything. You do occasionally like to hop on the Colts bandwagon.
All I said was, if the Vikings control their own destiny, and I was right. They beat Green Bay, they beat Detroit, they beat Chicago. If they could do that, and they did, all they'd have to do is then beat Dallas, Jacksonville, and Carolina, all of which were winnable games. When they lost against Dallas, that was it, because you knew they were going to lose to Tampa, and then they have the Bears and the Lions again. Look, they still, they still could be competitive here, but I kind of like what I'm seeing from the Bears, and Montgomery the last couple of weeks have been really good, and I love the cost effectiveness of that trio is what I'm getting at.
I wish people could see Joe right now, because he said, I like what I'm seeing from the Bears, and he pinched the top of his nose, in between your eyes. He's doing it like it hurts him to say that.
Scratch.
I'm sure it's a scratch. I'm sure it's not just painful to say.
I'm going to scratch it with this finger.
Yeah. It's Trubisky. Look, Trubisky's looked good for 2 weeks in a row. I know he had the fumble against the Lions that lost him the game, but he had put up numbers against him, and 3 touchdowns last week. Montgomery looks better. Whenever you can move that defense back a little bit and not have 8 men in the box, your running game is going to be better. That's what they've been doing recently. Minnesota's, like you said, Joe, I think they might be on the verge of packing it in here, and the Bears are trying to win games. Nagy's trying to save his job. So I'm with you. I kind of like a Bear stack this week. A-Rob, Trubisky's going to be cheap again.
Yeah, and, Trubisky, A-Rob is Allen Robinson is always reasonable. Right. Allen Robinson. And I love that. And Trubisky's cheap, especially on DK this week. Love that. Pats and Dolphins, gross. I want nothing to do with this game. Nothing.
I tell you, okay, one thing that I will like is if because Parker looks like he's going to miss. Lynn Bowden Jr., I think they're going to get him more involved overall. I mean, he had the 9 targets last week. He kind of acted as a wide receiver 1 for them, and it's not great going up against Gilmore, but I think they'll use him in Wildcat. If he's going to be a bigger part of that offense, he could get some weird, nice usage in this game. So he'll be a cheap option that I might buy on this week.
I am out. I'm not going anywhere near this game. Gross.
That's fair.
Can't throw the football. I know Tua had his best game against the Chiefs, but I don't know. I mean, this game, and from a wagering standpoint too, there's 2.5 on the Dolphins side right now. I mean, I could just easily see the Patriots shocking everybody and winning, especially last year, the way the Dolphins came and kind of screwed them at the end of the season. There's a little revenge here. Don't kid yourself. Like, they're not thinking about that. Jaguars at Ravens. Look, Ravens are going to roll. This might be a week where you pay up for Lamar. I'm just saying. Like, we haven't. I don't think I've said those
Derrick
words.
Henry put up 200 yards, Joe, and then we saw 9 rushing touchdowns, which has happened 3 times in NFL history, and the other 2 times were in 1922.
Oh my God.
The Ravens and the Browns are rushing fools right now, and the Jaguars are really, really bad. They're 30th. They're giving up 145.5 yards per game. Just gave up 200 to Derrick Henry. I mean, the Ratbird should roll in this one.
Well, look, man, I don't remember last time I've said the words, I'm excited to start Lamar Jackson in DFS, because it hasn't been a good return. Like, he hasn't been good. But now unleashed Lamar on the main slate against the Jaguars, it's probably gonna be 30% rostered. I don't care. Like, I'll pay up for that. I'll pay up for that before Henry this week. Not because I don't believe in Henry, but because I'm looking at, when you go over that 10-5 mark, it gets tricky. You really just got to be all world. And he might be. I mean, it is against the Lions. So we can talk about that game right now, because Stafford is questionable. Not looking good for him. Lions have had so many injuries. They're falling apart. It's nice that they're bringing Spielman back into the organization. I think that's a positive. But, I mean, the Titans right now, this is for them to get to 10 wins right here, get this W. And it's not lost on them, too, that they've got Derrick Henry has to average 150 yards for the next 3 games in order to get 2,000. So he's got the Lions, the Packers, and the Houston Texans on week 17. I think it's possible. Just throwing that out there. It's possible.
That he puts up, 200 yards again?
Well, here's the thing. He needs to average 150.
To get to 2,000. Oh, yeah, he'll get to 2,000.
Well, so you've got is
there a prop on that right now, Joe? Can you look?
I don't. I will look on that.
Because if there's a prop, I think I would take it. I'd at least throw, $20 on it or something. That it seems to me that he's definitely going to get that, especially that last game being against Houston. So
I don't see it here on FanDuel, but I imagine it's somewhere.
Yeah.
But
you can find that, I would.
Well, here's the math. If you want to hear the math, so Detroit's given up 132 on average. Green Bay's given up 110, and Houston's given up 150. Now, that's also Houston Week 17, where they're going to be completely checked out. They could. I mean, it becomes whether or not you want to get him this number and how important it is versus how important the game is in keeping him healthy. I think that's kind of going to be the question. That's the only thing I think that will really hold this up, and that's a real concern for me, at least.
And you're not going to want any part of the Detroit side because Stafford is looking doubtful. So Chase Daniel.
No on Stafford for me. Falcons hosting the Bucks. I don't love tight end this week on the main slate, but the Falcons suck against tight end. So Gronk might actually be in play for me, which is, I think, one of the 2 times maybe all year I've said this. Probably the other one was the last time they played the Falcons, to be honest. But I don't know. I just, this and Ronald Jones is having surgery on that finger. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, on the pinky. So he might have pins in. He might miss this week. So they just aggravated Fournette by putting him, making him inactive, and they might have to lean on him in this game a little bit here. So we'll see. Maybe they go to McCoy and Vaughn more. I don't know. I don't know what Fournette has done to get himself in the doghouse. But it's a really stupid move by Arians, because this stuff can happen. And Fournette is clearly your second best back. He's been your second best back the whole year. You played him more than anybody else. So it doesn't make a lot of sense for them to sit him last week. But who knows? Maybe they were doing remember LaShawn McCoy kept getting sat at the end of the year because Andy Reid wanted to keep him for the playoffs. Maybe it's something like that. I don't know. But Fournette clearly going to be up this week. And might be a decent ad.
All right, let's move on to the next one here. Colts and Texans. Going to go right back to the Colts again. This is 3 weeks in a row now for the Colts. Rivers is putting up 18+ every week. Texans defense is just not there. Houston has no weapons left. T.Y. Hilton's been good. I am all in on Jonathan Taylor again this week. So that's the other trio. It's like the Colts trio and the Bears trio. Those are going to be my popular ones again this week, Box.
Yeah, I mean, just take whatever trio is playing against Houston every week. I mean, that's what
it seems like a good payoff right now.
Yeah. So,
what kind of page 1 rewrite are they going to be next year? Do you think, Houston?
I don't know, man. It's they have some talent, but I honestly feel like they should tear it all the way down because they're like 2 or 3 trades away from being Jets level bad as far as the roster goes. So just do that, get it out of the way, get those picks. You shouldn't do it this year because Miami still has your first round pick and all that stuff. But, get your high picks in there and get this rebuilt as quick as you can. But I also understand not wanting to trade Deshaun and not doing it. So we'll see.
All right, let's move on to the next one here. Eagles at Cardinals. So Jalen Hurts was good in his first start, but that's, the first start is always where the young guy always looks his best usually. Cardinals, I'm not gonna say the Eagles don't need this game, but the Cardinals really need this game. So Cardinals looked a little bit better last week than they have in the last month or so since that Buffalo game. So maybe Kyler Murray's getting a little healthier. Kenny Drake's been healthy too. But this is a tough matchup because the Eagles are actually good against the run. So how do you see this one shaking out here?
Dude, I think the Eagles are going to win this game. I really do. The Cardinals they played better, but they didn't play great against the Giants. They really should have dominated the Giants with the way that Daniel Jones was playing. I know they won 26-7, but with Kyler Murray and Hopkins and Drake and all these good players on their team, they should have scored more than 26 points against the Giants. I know the Giants have been playing good on defense, but they were set up with 3 and outs and turnovers and all that good stuff, and still only put up 26 points. I think if they were playing anybody else, they probably were going to drop this game. And the Eagles right now, and I've said this the whole year, Joe, they have the roster to push any team. But the way Carson Wentz was playing and the way that offense was uninventive and not progressive at all, it was just a boring team to watch, and they set their defense up in bad spots. But now with Hurts running, they're a different team. The defense gets a rest. I think they're going to beat the Cardinals in this game.
Fun matchup with the two quarterbacks, no doubt.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah,
Hurts and Murray from the same ilk. The 0-13 Jets will take on the Rams, who are at the top of their division right now, 9-4. Cam Akers has been great, and you know what? You're right. Thursday that kind of gets lost in the shuffle, but that was the Cam Akers coming out party for me, where he ran inside, he ran outside, he protected the football, he caught the football. I mean, he just did everything. He looked like a star. And I could tell you right now, like if you're going to get, I think he's going to, what do you think is a third round value probably next year in drafts?
Yeah, at least. I think if he finishes off these 3 games with huge weeks, he's going to be one of those guys that gets pushed up to the second round. And if the Rams start to, if they put anything together in the playoffs, and he gets some, national
he'll
exposure.
Definitely be second. He'll be second round if he has good playoff.
He'll be a high second round pick. He'll get that Clyde Edwards-Helaire bump because remember how good Gurley was in the Sean McVay offense.
Right.
He was your number 1 or to 3 overall pick in all of those drafts. So until he really got banged up with the knee injury. So Cam Akers is going to get a huge push this offseason.
Because I was going to say, Boggs, I'd love to start with DK Metcalf and, I don't know, another good wide receiver somewhere in that second round and then take Cam Akers in the third. Boy, that'd be a heck of a way to start.
Yeah, it would be. But I don't see any way unless he, shudders and goes back into a shell or gets banged up or something. I don't see any way he's not a second round pick next year.
All right, let's move on.
You may want to add him whoever you're taking at number 1 and then Akers in the second round and then, your wide receiver. Maybe that's it.
All right. Saints hosting the Chiefs. A huge game here. So, look, Chiefs kind of have to get right a little bit here. Kelsey continues to be fantastic. Mahomes is great. Tyreek Hill is all world. Saints, look, the Saints are putting up points. They're just, they lost to the Eagles last week. The Eagles had a little bit of momentum on their side. I think that's all it came down to. How do you see this one shaking out here? What are you looking for in this one?
Yeah, I think this is Chiefs win, and I don't know that it's particularly close. This is my pick for the Super Bowl before the year started with Saints and Chiefs, and I had the Saints winning. But right now, look, we saw the Chiefs play maybe one of their worst games of the season, and they still beat Miami last week. That's kind of where they're at right now. They are on this big push towards the playoffs. They're looking like they're ready to go. So I think this is kind of an easy Chiefs win, especially Joe, if Breeze doesn't play, and it does not look like he's good to go yet.
All right, Browns and Giants. Giants have had a good run here, but this is going to be tough here because I think the Browns, look, as much as you can be confident after a loss, I think the Browns should be confident after a loss because they prove they belong, and that's fantastic. And then you've got the Steelers and Bengals. Who, look, that's the Monday night contest. This should be the 12th win for the Steelers. I mean, that's going to be really depressing. But I can't even imagine doing this show with you on Tuesday if for some reason the Steelers lose to the Bengals. So let's not pretend like that world exists because it doesn't. But the Browns, look, another, Nick Chubb's just all world. I'll tell you, Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, that's my top 3. I know you're going to say McCaffrey, and a lot of people are going to agree with you. Going into next year, I keep looking and trying to find guys who have been all world, gotten hurt, and then gotten back to being all world. And I'm looking at Todd Gurley, I'm looking at David Johnson, I'm looking at Saquon Barkley, and it hasn't been happening lately. So yeah, I got to say it's concerning to me, concerning enough that I don't know if I want to take the risk at the end of the day.
Well, the nice thing is McCaffrey is going to be back this week, most likely. So we'll at least get a look at him the last few weeks of the season before going into next year. So if they're going right back to him, they're giving him the 30 touches a game and he's putting up 2 touchdowns and getting receptions and all that stuff, he's just going to go right back to the top of my board. We're not going to see that with Barkley. So I understand Barkley being kind of 5th, 6th, somewhere in that range for running backs next year, but he's lost 2 years now. So I get it, people not being in on him, but I'm one that I hope I pick like 8 or 9, and that's where Barkley starts going, is around 8 or 9, because I'll absolutely scoop him up and just cross my fingers that he stays healthy. I get what you're saying with the running backs, but
trying to find one. If you can name one for me that's been all world number 1 overall material, gotten hurt, and then come back to that same value, let me know because I'm legit searching for it. Like I'm trying.
Well, I think you're talking about a guy that gets hurt for the year though, not just, and McCaffrey was healthy for the first month. Then he went down. Then they played him too much when he came back. This is a problem that keeps happening in the NFL, and I don't understand it. Daniel Jones was not 100% last week. That is your franchise quarterback. Why do you keep throwing him out
there?
Because
it's football, and you want to go out there and you want to, he wants to be out there.
After 3 drives, he wasn't good. Yank him.
Put disagree with you
out there. It's just dumb. You're hurting the potential future of your franchise to win a week 14 game here. So it makes no sense to me, but such is life in the NFL, as Mike Tomlin would say. So that's just the way it goes.
All right. So that'll do it for me and Boggs. We'll be back on Thursday with the DFS preview, Friday with the wagering show. In the meantime, you can subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast. It's the PreSnap by the LineStar app, PreSnap show for DFS. And also you can, baseball's around the corner, the On Deck show as well. Subscribe to both. If you're playing DFS at all, we're the show for you. So that'll do it for me and Boggs. You can follow us on the meantime at Twitter, at Bogman Sports, at Joe Pisapia 17, at LineStar app, and at LineStar NFL. That'll do it for us. There's nothing left to do now except down, sit, win.
You've been listening to the PreSnap Podcast, brought to you by LineStar. Hit subscribe, drop a review, tell a friend, and stay tuned for the next episode from fantasy football experts Joe Pisapia and Scott Bogman.